welcome back to Wook Plus. I'm Weekend Wook, joined once again by Kev the Great Went. Kev, that show has my heart rate up, man. I'm all pumped up from that show. That was a great show. What'd you think?
I loved it. I can't believe you were suggesting just to skip over 12 songs so you can talk about the second set.
All right, well, spoiler alert. I like to say it's foreshadowing. I fucking love that Everything's Right jam, and I do want to spend a hot minute on it when we get to it. But you have a good point. I don't think we should skip the first set. The first set is a pretty sizable, pretty nice set, as it were. So, I suppose we should talk about this first set. I never needed you like this before. How do you feel about this song? Because I've had a long trip with this song. I've had ups and downs,
Right.
in and out.
I love seeing Trey on TV doing it with the Roots when he broke it out. I love that it opened 4.0. I thought that was a brilliant move. It's reliable, if not serviceable.
I think that's fair. It is in too heavy of rotation. In my opinion, its average show gap is 9 songs, and it's diminishing. It's getting closer and closer together, which I know they do that when they debut songs, and like every time they have a new album, all those songs have like show gaps of 5 to 10. But
it's long past the debut point, though.
Well, it's 21. I mean, it's a 4.0er.
That's a long time ago. I mean, we've had 3 or 4 debuts this tour.
Time doesn't mean anything, Kevin. No, you're right. You're right. Maybe that's my point. Maybe they need to shove it a little bit.
Break.
It was fine though. I think for the show we got, it was a good start. All right. Anyway,
you reading your fan mail there?
Right. Yeah. I'm usually really good at ignoring it, but getting called out like that is yeah.
Perfect.
So I really like the going into Cosvat here with Turtle in the Clouds. And it's funny because in short succession with the Llama interlude, we had a Cosvat and a sci-fi. I think in this case I'm more on the Cosvat side, but what were your take on Turtle in the Clouds?
Again, I mean, it's fun. It's got stupid lyrics. Why no dance? You're thinking that, hey, they didn't do the dance, and then Trey's like, you're thinking, why no dance? So the floor show,
I don't blame him.
No,
you think he thinks about that when they like do? Because there's a bunch of songs that have shit like gags tied to it, and he's like, this is gonna be funny when I do it, but now I'm gonna have to do it every time I play this song. It's good to just break off from it.
And he might throw a hip out, him or Mike or something, I they get on those trampolines. I'm like, dude, do not get on the trampoline, man. When he's just gonna jackhammer off it, and they're gonna like catch you behind the drums.
They look like in great shape, though. Like
that. Better than me, Bob. We are all of them. They're all in better shape than me.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And that's something that was reflected in tonight too, from a tempo standpoint, because we've talked. I mean, granted, this past tour with Dead & Company, they really stepped it up. But like the conversation as bands get older, what happens to their tempos? It's been a conversation with PHiSH for several years now. The tempos tonight were all just complete fire. There was nothing where I was like, oh, this is lacking. Right. There were even times where I felt, oh shit, they're really pushing it, like more than they have in probably 30 years. So
we got a triple start on the Llama.
Yeah.
Triple start. Because I guess Trey didn't get his name right, the drummer's name right or something.
That drummer, what's his face? Mr. Fish, Mr. Henrietta. Okay. Where do you stand on guitar starts versus drum starts for Llama?
It's got to be drums.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotta be.
That's where I'm at too. But then sometimes where you just hold these opinions and you're like, yeah, everybody feels that way, and then you find out that you're like on an island and you're the only one with those opinions.
No, you hit that drum and then he falls back, lets the guitar riff come in, and then boom, they all pick it up together, all 4 of them.
Just off to the races. This one was a particularly ripping Llama, I felt like, though. I didn't get an actual BPM on it, but it did feel like it had a little extra oomph to it.
It was definitely not a slow llama, and it was definitely not a funk llama.
Obviously, but I mean,
So,
even out of just fast llamas, this was even faster. I think, right?
you know,
We gotta. Speaking of going fast, I feel like we're gonna have to work ourselves through this long ass set with a little bit of gusto, because
all right, well, we're making up for the Wilmington set that got shortened.
yeah.
So,
Um,
they sound checked this one apparently for quite a while. So I kind of felt like you knew it was coming.
Yeah, and they're not really messing with the sound checks. All the sound checks so far this tour have led to either debuts or things bust outs or things that they're bringing in the sets. I think Clear Your Mind should come up more. It's I mean, granted, it's only a 2021 song, but it's only been played 4 times. I think this is one that I wouldn't mind seeing. Show maybe take the place of I never needed you like this before a little bit. To save a spot for this one. I like it.
I, I
It's fun.
don't. I don't think that it serves the same function.
No,
Clear Your
I
Mind's
know, but
another. Clear Your Mind could replace Turtle in the Clouds. I
yeah,
think
but
they
I
serve
like
the same function.
I like when they give you both of those flavors in the same set. I know what you're saying, but it's like the same thing as like the Maze and Bowie. It's like it was so unique yesterday to get both of them. But I like that the mixing of the sci-fi and the Cosvod. Those are, in my opinion, out of like modern Fish, 3.0, 4.0 Fish. I think the Halloween albums are my favorite. Like just as a global statement, I think Thrilling, Chilling, Sci-Fi, and Cosvod Vox versus like Big Boat and even Sigma Oasis, which I mean has grown on me a tremendous amount. But just pound for pound, I think the Halloween music has the upper hand. And
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan of I Never Need You Like This before, but anyway, and then
But
another.
that's not. I didn't. Just to clarify with you, I didn't mean that they were both songs that were Halloween kind of made up band songs. I mean that I never needed you like this before as an opener because of the lyrics, because of the way the intro is from a dry start. That's what I mean by as a
Yeah, no,
function.
I understand that. I'm
Okay.
just I'm just rejecting that ideology. I don't think a song needs to with this band fill those roles. Well, oh, not always. All right, let me rephrase. I apologize. It's a terrible opener. Let me just call a spade a spade. It's a shit opener. You're right. That is the function of it, but it's a shit opener. So just get rid of it.
What about a set closer? What about it as a set closer?
Sure. I don't want to be too negative.
Nah,
Somebody out there
I
watching
don't
is
see
like,
it's a set closer either. All right, so
somebody
sample.
loves it. Somebody
Right.
loves it.
Sample is a great show opener. And at this point is when I tweeted out all the hits because I just felt like they were just going to start dropping song after song after song. And I
Right.
love
Even
Sample.
though how many actual hits were in this set? Like one or two, I
Well,
guess.
but by what I mean by all the hits, I guess it harkens back to what we were talking about last night. That I was saying that this is the tour where Trey's got trying to give everybody a couple songs they've never seen. You've seen 30. If you've seen 30 shows, you walked in tonight and you checked a few things off your list. I'm pretty sure.
Sure. You know what I call that like a festival set in my mind. That's what I think of as, you see them at Bonnaroo or what's that other one that they've been playing down, like Lockdown or whatever, and they're gonna
Mhm.
give you 20 songs that are all in that 4 to 6 minutes. This first set was very much to me a festival set with a lot of different flavors in it. But I concede to your point. It is a sampling, like a greatest hit album, I guess, is where you're driving that from, right?
Mhm.
Um, but yes, sample was serviceable. Not a lot extra there. It's kind of we just had the 6-year anniversary of Baker's. It kind of ruined it for me because sample never was anything for me. But then the one time it was, it's hard to not feel just
Right.
as
It was the album cut. It was just like you heard on the album.
yeah. But then
Mm,
they did finally start to open things up a little bit with that taste jam.
right.
Not a ton there, but it was the first point of the night where they started to depart into jamming. Gave you a nice 7 minutes. I thought it was serviceable in a good way. It was nice.
Now his taste, I feel like that's a rarity. That it only pops once, maybe twice, if you're really lucky at tour. I have a feeling it's going to show up again over the MSG run. That a lot of these are rehearsals. almost in a sense. We're going to play it this time, and then we'll at least have run through it live in front of an audience once when we go and do 7 nights at the Garden and do no repeats.
Yeah, I think you are going to get a ton of repeats from earlier in the tour. No repeats.
No, but I'm saying
it,
that those 7 shows themselves will be, if you had a clean slate, there'll be no repeats over those 7 shows.
Yeah, no,
and
agreed.
They're running through all these once or twice.
No, agreed. Yeah, so I just looked it up. Last was played in the spring tour in the Hollywood Bowl, and then it was played last summer twice, Merriweather and Alpine, and it was played in 21. So it's like a two-timer a year, right? Which I think is a nice set rotation for it. I think that's where it should be and where it needs to be, and I like it. Ocelot, man, is such a feel-good song. I know there's like mixed opinions on it, or at least that's the impression I get, but it's hard not to be happy and smile when you're listening to Ocelot. It's just such a relaxed, like, it has you know what it is to me? It's like a swank jam. Like, it has just like a little bit of like a rollback in it. I don't know.
That's not my fit. That's not my fish.
Maybe that's where my impression of people not liking it is just because I hang out with you too much. So whatever you don't like, I'm like, I know people hate it.
No, but this goes back to the hits, though, what you said. How can you not like it? That's what a hit song is. How can you not like it, you know?
Right. And then you talk to Kevin, you're like, oh, right.
They play that on the radio. It's got to suck.
I didn't see it in 89 in the bar, so it must not be good. I only like the 30 songs that were in rotation when I started seeing them.
It was 20. But.
Like, fuck this new music. Farmhouse? What's a farmhouse? I hate this new shit. Oh, man. Julius.
Another hoist.
Another hoist. Yeah,
and another classic. I mean, that's a groove. If you want a groove, Julius is a groove.
Yo, so I told you, motherfuckers. I told you. You're like, why do you want to skip the sets? Because we're literally going to be reading a set list. Do you have anything unique or interesting to say about any of these songs in the first set?
Close it down and let me see what else they played, because you're asking me to remember. Salt Again was fun. Sparkle. I love Sparkle. I don't care if you don't. Ass-Handed. You blink, you miss it. Sand is...
Sand was good. That was a fantastic jam. It was a sand jam. It was nothing
jam. It was a regular old sand jam that you get anywhere. And
no, it was a fantastic sand jam. It was a standard sand jam, but it was also fantastic.
2 for 5.
Is that your bit now? You just give me the grumpy old man. Yeah, I don't need that.
I love this set. I absolutely love this set.
I love this set too. It is a rocker, and it works because of what you got in the second set. If the second set was like this, it would have been like, oh my God, what the fuck did I just see? But the first set worked really well. One thing I do want to say about Julius, since we jumped all around, he finally went back and fixed the vocals. The last like 2 or 3 Juliuses, he was doing those, what were we calling them? The vocal inflections or the fries or whatever, where
broccoli.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, and the bad side of broccoli, it's like the aftergas, where he was jumping up octaves and shit. And I was like, dude, you were ruining this song. And I really like that shreddy blues jam in it. I thought Julius was a significant improvement over past Julius, like recent past Julius, not like long past, but you know, in the recent trajectory of it. Yeah, and that's it. The only other note I had was that I really liked Sand. And it's because it's the first time, I think that was the first Sand this year, right? Or this tour. Yeah.
No, it was the second Sand this tour.
When we end up with like 9 of them, I'll be like, oh my
God.
They played it
They played it the first night.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, anyway, let's go through some housekeeping.
Shout out to Tony Bennett, who died.
Yeah, man, pour one out. I mean, I'm not
still have Jason Aldean here, but we no longer have Tony Bennett. That's the world we live in, folks. Back in my day.
You're really leaning into this age gap thing. It's cool, man. I'm cool with it. Like and subscribe. That's the standard. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this afterwards what you thought about tonight's show, though, and that first set with the rapid fireness of it. And then also what we're about to talk about in this second set. Also, we're going to have some mid-tour and post-tour touch-ins, some recaps. So we've been doing these after each set, but next Thursday we're going to have a longer form discussion, and we're going to really lean on chat and include you guys into the conversation about the first half of tour. Then we'll do it again after MSG, and then probably again after Dick's. So look for that on Thursday. So we'll have the man Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll do that before MSG gets started.
And then next week, make sure you check out Llama and T are going to be interviewing a couple of the guys from Taper's Choice before Choice Fest, which is coming up in LA. So check that out. And yes, Skunky, my cat, is named Kathleen, and she likes to go back there and clean herself during. And I'll tell you what, she never did it before I was in the tornado, but since the tornado, she's come every night and sat on the couch.
She missed you, man. I thought you were saying she never cleaned herself. I was like,
no,
man, that's
yeah,
that's a dirty ass cat.
She has these dreads you wouldn't believe. It was. All right. Well, how about that second set? Soul Planet.
Oh, let me get the set list up. Holy shit. God.
So
damn.
we can start with the Soul Planet, right?
You don't want to talk about that? Everything's right.
No, I do want to talk about. I want to hear what you have to say because I know that you were hyped. You were going off on Twitter about it.
It was a really beautiful, evolving, organic jam again, which they've only hit a couple of times so far this tour. But when they have, it's just been, absolutely on point. It was a really patient setup, which interestingly enough, we have a contrast in the next song. With how they get into the jam. But with the Everything's Right jam, it was a very patient setup, throwing out themes, seeing how they sit. Trey all of a sudden throws out the syncopated rhythm, and the band just like flips the switch. They lock onto it, and they're off to the races. They hit it. I love the whole spacey goodness that they hit in the middle, which kind of transformed into the Blissful jam, but not like instantly. Again, we've talked about this before, where like some jams, it's just like, oh, here's a chapter, here's a chapter, here's a chapter, right? Like the Tahoe Tweezer or Ruby Waves Alpine, where it's Alpine, like, right, where it's like, here's a section, here's a section. There were several sections that just kept kind of folding into each other. And then the best thing I love about this jam is the slow build nature of the climax. They were never just like, we're ripping right into it, we're going to hit you in the face with it and give you the climax, right? It was, oh, here's a little bit more, but they were holding back. They were showing restraint, which I don't know if it was because they couldn't get there or if it was a choice, but I chose to interpret it as they were showing restraint and because when they did get to that delayed climax, it was perfect. I thought it's hard to talk about jams without it sounding, sexual.
Oh, sexual. I was gonna say nothing.
I'm just talking about like that delayed gratification.
All right. So I thought that up until they broke it down and it got real quiet when they got into what you were calling the spacey part, it was the same thing you get every time. And usually that's where it would end. So where it got interesting for me was from there. And I think it did take them a little time to get to that Bliss jam. There was a little chunky bit to it. They were, they were in a major key, but they weren't happy. They were like, eh. And they finally did hit it. And I thought that the segue back into Everything Right again tonight, Trey gave him the space. He held back for 8 bars. And then Paige looked over and said, oh, and jumped keyboards before he had to start singing. As opposed to last tour, Trey was already doing it and Paige is scrambling to get over
right.
there.
They were like, oh shit, there it is.
Right.
Well, so what, you don't like that intro to the jam? You felt like they were looking for it and it was kind of slow for you? Because in this particular case, I felt good about that patient playing with it, letting it simmer. Like, you're right, it was a very standard thing, but they weren't forcing it. I feel like the difference is that they've done that sometimes and they try to force it into a jam and it doesn't go anywhere and it falls, and then they just ripcord it because like, oh, this isn't working. Whereas tonight the difference was they were doing that same standard start.
No, I feel,
and then they waited a little bit, and then they found it.
I feel like that it was the patience that Trey had to let the jam completely go down quiet to nothing and then reform and letting it see where to go instead of what his instinct before probably would have been the ripcord.
The ripcord, right? Which was a nice contrast to this Soul Planet because once they got through the annoying part, they launched into that jam. I had a hard time. I was trying to think of the last jam that I heard of them where they really hit the jam that fast and right out the gate. I mean, it was instant. The tempo was up, the rhythm. It felt like it was a composed jam that they had never played before. You know what I mean? Like it was
Mm.
completely new and improvised, but it sounded like it was written because it happened instantaneously.
See, and that goes back to my that they aren't improvised. They've done all this stuff before. They've worked them up in rehearsals.
Yeah, but they didn't chart it, is my point.
Right. Oh, I'm with you though.
When you jam with guys for 40 years, like, yeah, there are licks, there are signs that it's a vocabulary that they build, but they're not charting it. They just have it. So, and they're listening tremendously well to each other. They hear Mike do one lick and they're like, oh, he's doing this. I remember we did it like that. Let me do this modification of it. Right.
I feel like Trey is being better. I thought through Wilmington, Trey was kind of stepping on Mike. I feel like these past 2 nights that it hasn't been. He's taken a little step back and let them breathe a little bit.
Yeah. I think Mike was a VIP tonight, honestly.
He was
down in the mix again some of this, for part of the night, but his playing was spectacular.
The twist, I mean, they did the twist the first or second show, so we all kind of, knew it was on the horizon somewhere.
It had a nice little jam to it.
Right, good transition into it, I'd give it probably a B+, I don't think they were all quite sure it was time to do it.
Yeah, but I think it worked, and it's pretty much the only acceptable time to woo, in my opinion. So I'm a pro wooer on it. And then most events aren't planned, and it's kind of that same vein, short but sweet. Not a whole lot there, but I really like that. I like that better than I've always wanted it this way. Like we were talking about the roles they play and the flavors.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about that tonight, that I'd like this EDM or whatever page song probably a touch more than I've always wanted it this way.
Fan, before everybody torches me, they really need to leave those 2 page songs somewhere else.
What?
I'm not a fan of either one of them with PHiSH. They don't sound the same as they do with the other band, and I like the way the other band does it, and it's stuck in my head that way, I guess.
I'm a grumpy old man. That's fine. I mean,
I like the song itself. When I did that thing about the best studio cuts, I had this way up there because on the album, it sounds like it could have been straight out of 87 MTV.
Yeah,
and
but
I think it's so cool.
I think watching it on the couch or the way you're enjoying the show, it maybe doesn't work. And me too. I mean, I'm not that far off, but I try to put myself back. You're on the lawn, you're experiencing it, you got the goosebumps, everything's raging, and then you have this. I just feel like it works really well in these placements coming out of these jams, and then I don't know, man. I think we'll agree to disagree. I think they work well in this second set, but it was short anyway. Who gives a shit? It was 7 minutes. You're in and out. What did you think about the debut?
Right. No. Well, hold on one sec. Can you read? You see that comment from Bill A there? What do you think about that? Because I tend to agree with that a little bit. I would not know if I call it boring, but
yeah, I don't think it's boring, but that's all right. I think with PHiSH though, that launch pad hasn't been commonplace. I think the Everything's Right launch pad has been the commonplace one. So I think, yeah, if they keep doing it, then and 17, it was a year that they did it a lot, actually. But I haven't heard it in 4.0 a lot. So I thought it was, especially with how up tempo they were playing tonight, it works extra well with that extra gusto behind it. But no, I could see it getting boring if they keep doing that. I think they, everything's milder too, like with the jam vehicles, like the bleeps and bloops is down, the space is kind of more tame. So I would like to see something new and fresh in there just to break it up a little bit. But
try to pack them songs in, make sure everyone gets a special show.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but for some reason it's still like,
you hate when I say that. All right, so Monster. Um,
Monster.
I really listening to it. I tried to listen to the Mission Ballroom, and the recording that I heard was pretty bad, so I couldn't quite get the lyrics. Listening to it tonight, I thought to myself, if you changed a few of them around, like instead of making it I, made it we, it would have been a great Dio tune.
Yeah.
Do you even know who Dio is? Or are you too
Yeah,
young?
it's like an '80s group, right?
They were he sang for Black Sabbath, and then he had his own band. But he wrote all these anthem, kind of anthem things, and I can just hear a guy with a real high voice, one leg up on the speaker singing the lyrics to it.
No, I got distracted because YouTube's like, hey, now would be a good time to run an ad. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I don't want to run an ad. But what I will do is remind you guys that we have memberships now. I just sent out a bunch of stickers to some of the members. And we're in talks about the first members only content coming up. So now would be a great time to join and get that membership. So yeah, Monsters. I liked it. I think it's unique. But out of the debuts, I think it's on the upper half. It's not my favorite debut, but I'm okay with it.
But it did not, Pillow Jets last night got the treatment.
Yeah.
Monsters Trey was like, let's run through it. And playing the solo a little bit. All right, let's get out of here.
Right, but it sounded rehearsed. It didn't sound messy or disjointed. I mean, it sounded like they had been playing it for a while. If you know what I think you're saying is it's a little bit uninspired, maybe, and doesn't have a little extra. But wasn't that kind of what the whole night was like? None of these songs, outside of Everything's Right and maybe Soul Planet, had anything extra to them. They were just the greatest hits.
They were all the hits.
All the hits. That 2001, again, nothing extra to it. It was a very cool synth jam, like 2001s tend to be. But what was that? One climax? Don't they usually take that around a couple of times? You blink and you miss this shit.
I think they got two in.
Maybe.
I mean, the first time I saw 2001, it was like 2 minutes long. It opened the second set, and they hadn't even. I guess they were just playing around with the thought of trying to,
Yeah.
It was early. It was like the third or fourth one. Anyway, so Rock and Roll, My Life, Page, another Page song. That was my first thought when Rock and Roll started.
Yeah. And also it was up tempo, and I think kept the energy of the night. If for nothing else, if you're not blown away, if you don't think it's like the most inspired night, tonight had energy. Tonight was a fun night. I bet if you were at the venue tonight, you had a blast of a time. Like this is the type of show that
any venue I'm at if I'm seeing live music.
No, but you know what I mean, though. There's shows that you leave and it's like, it doesn't give you that same boost. I think tonight had a ton of energy.
I think that the times that happens the most is when you see a bunch of shows because you've come to expect things. When I walk into like the Man, I'm not expecting anything. If they do Soul Planet again, so be it.
You're such a wise old man.
But I'm hoping they don't. So anyway, we got the another sound check song there next.
Yeah, and it's like makes you face your own mortality a little bit in a weird way. I don't know if other people think that way, but like when they list their days and they talk about the total number, and then we're doing what we do, looking at stats and when it debuts and the number of times they play, and I'm like, man, every time they do this, there's literally thousands of days being added, or thousands of hours and hundreds of days, and it's just like it got me in the headspace a little bit. It hit me a little bit weird tonight, but it's cool. I think it grind's always fun. I like acapella PHiSH in general.
Did we blow over Rock and Roll? Did you have anything to say? I mean, I thought it was going to be 10 minutes longer because they had so much time left, but
yeah, no, I mean that was basically my notes too. It was short and sweet, but it was nice. The tempo of it was nice. I think they don't give it enough sometimes, and this one really was the perfect tempo for it.
There we go. All right, so we got the grind. I don't know if you're going to do an acapella song. I wish they would try to, or I wish they bust out the bluegrass thing and try to do like a 4-play long time or something again.
That would be cool. Wait, I
I don't
thought you
think
were
we'll
just
get.
saying that you don't go in with expectations and you don't give a shit what they play, but only when it's a cappella.
Well, no, I'm saying watching at home, I guess.
Yeah, there was a run at MSG several years back that they opened every night with an acapella song, and
The Baker's Dozen.
oh, was that the Bakers?
I think that was. That run they did in MSG.
Shit blends together, man. I don't know. Was
One time in Hampton, I guess in '95, they opened up with Star Spangled Banner, right?
Yeah.
I'm an Orioles fan. So when they got to the "Oh, say can you see" part, I yelled "Oh," and like 12 other people did. You heard these voices all over yell.
I went to school in Virginia, and all the fucking Maryland and Nova people with that "oh" shit. It's like literally the most annoying shit on earth. My wife does it. She's from Maryland. I mean, I just give her that dirty look. I was like, "Don't you dare!" She always does, just to fuck with me.
I got some dirty looks from people for yelling out in the middle of PHiSH doing it, but I was like, in my blood, it's just it's
ingrained in there.
You're right. It's the first thing you hear as a child is someone yelling "oh."
So I think I've been fairly positive tonight, right, about this show. Can I bitch for a second?
You can crush this encore all you want.
I mean, you got 20 minutes left. You come in with an acapella, so you know there's going to do something else, right? I don't think anybody, I wasn't expecting tube, and you hit tube, and you're like, they got 20 minutes and they're in tube. Maybe I set myself up for disappointment, but I was like, this is it. This is it. They're going to jam the shit out of tube, and it's just going to tie everything together, and this is going to be the best encore of all time. And it ended up not only not being jammed out, it ended up being probably one of the shortest tubes I think I've ever heard. I mean, it was like, I don't think 5. We got that from what's his face. I think that's rounding up. That felt like lightning fast.
We got that from Guy Forget Ghost.
Guy Forget,
on Twitter. He always puts all the timing up, and sometimes we lean on him when our pens aren't working. You know what I think the problem is when you do a tube in the encore? He gets scared that he's going to go over the curfew. So he pulls up, and then he looks over.
He had 20 minutes to play with.
Right. Even he had 18. So they knock out 5 of it. There's 13. He looks, after he pulls it, he looks over and he's like, oh, I better get the ghost. And then he gets scared again in ghost that he's going to hit the curfew. So they yank that short.
I think it was just the mentality of the night. All of these songs, I'm not trying to be a size queen. I'm not saying that everything needs to be jammed out, but a lot of the songs tonight could have benefited from 1 extra minute. Like that 2001, it didn't need to be a 15-minute 2001, but if you gave me like 8 or 9 minutes and just let it sit there a little bit more, I think it would have benefited. I'm not saying I needed a crazy tube, but it was super short. What talking about skunky? They left time on the table. That's the problem. Yeah. They didn't go up to curfew. They had time left on the table. Like 10 minutes.
They went 14 minutes and they had 20. They left a good 5 minutes on the table.
Feel gypped. We only got like 300 songs.
The math would say 6 minutes, but I would call it a good 5 minutes and they even had more time because they spent 4 minutes running off stage to stand there and be like, all right, let's go back out and do the encore.
Yeah, Brian's right. That was the thing is last night it was a master class. They hit it literally perfectly. As the hand hit, they were hitting it. And then tonight they were, but it was fine. It was a raging show, a lot of energy, a lot of fun. And I think if you're a stat strictly person that just like wants a cool stat, you caught the first ever Ghost Encore. Now, was it a great Ghost? No, I don't think so. It was okay. But it's a cool thing to say that you got the only Ghost Encore. I don't know if they'll ever do it again.
It was the LP version.
Yeah. The whole night was. That's what tonight was, right? It's the LP.
Except for the Everything's Right.
Which was the thing I was most excited about tonight. All right. Well, you got anything else, Kev? I think that was pretty much covers it.
So we'll be back tomorrow night. I will be at the Man next week. So I won't see you guys till Thursday, the 27th there. And don't forget 8-3 Taper's Choice. If you haven't heard from them, check out Ghost Llama. over on Twitter. He is always posting about them.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. See you next time.